as ABS-CBN Sports brings to you live from the Big Dome the Final Four of UAAP Season 71.
That last game against De La Salle.
Slamajama on the run and again fast break point.
After sweeping their last 8 games and finishing on top of the team standings, the Ateneo Blue Eagles are determined to use their momentum and enter the championship round.
Buenafit against Mangas. Double team on him. Creates for Christian from the corner. Gets it to go! Beautiful movement without the ball. Chris Chu, the veterans.
Can the Blue Eagles manage to dodge the upset and march on to the finals?
Minutes here, late in the third and early in the fourth. Raba off the glass. Talking about a power move. With a lot of injuries though, 2 of their main injured players, as we see Elmer Espinit to go climb the ladder.
With no number 4 seed ever beating a number 1 seed in the Final Four, the odds are stacked up against the UE Red Warriors.
Yagas working on serving. A foul and the bucket.
However, after winning their last 3 assignments, can the Red Warriors use their newfound confidence and rewrite history?
Points here in quarter number 2. Up top! Wow. And they get the roll. But that's a play that they practiced. Oh, nice find. To enhance that skill. 7 minutes left here in the first half. Hey, what a putback by him. Well, there's no venue in the Philippines right now that will produce the kind of electricity that the Araneta Coliseum is experiencing since we got here at 1 in the afternoon. Well, after the first game, De La Salle University already in the finals. Now, their arch rivals trying to do the same, trying to achieve the same feat by winning against the UE Red Warriors today. I won't even call it the main event anymore because both games today are equal billing. De La Salle FU earlier, Ateneo UE right now as we speak. Hello Philippines, this is a live exclusive coverage of ABS-CBN Sports for the 71st season of your UAAP. Boom Gonzalez together with Coach Mark Molina. 10 straight Final Four appearances, Mark, for Ateneo, while UE 7 straight. A picture of consistency for these 2 squads.
You know, we mentioned that. That will be 17 Final Four appearances between these 2 teams. But the big question mark here, among all those 17 Final Four appearances, only 1 championship between Ateneo and UE in the last 10 years, and that was Ateneo in 2002. So both these teams are very hungry for the title. We know La Salle is already in. Ateneo at 13-1, trying to get to the finals to play their arch rivals.
A game away and armed with an 8-game winning streak coming into the Final Four. And not only that, 2 games in their pockets against this UE Red Warriors team. As we look at that first meeting, the first time that these 2 teams met, talking about Ateneo and UE, Ateneo edging UE in that first meeting, and that was the breakout game of Raba Aluseni.
Exactly. Before this season, we all knew that Raba Aluseni has improved a lot, but we never knew that he is this good already in season 71, and in this game, this was the signal that Raba Aluseni is not just a very good center, but a legitimate MVP candidate here in the UAP. Aluseni, 18 points and 17 rebounds. He again will figure to be the focal point here of the Ateneo offense. Nobody in UE can match up with Aluseni one-on-one. So expect a lot of double teaming, maybe some zone defense here for Coach Dinto Pumarin to offset the advantage of Ateneo with Aluseni.
And just to reinforce the idea that that was not a fluke, fast forward to August 21, Raba Aluseni duplicated his performance as they beat the UE Red Warriors in that second meeting here at the Araneta Coliseum.
This game, Boom, was different though. The first one was controlled by Ateneo from the beginning of that ballgame.
Exactly.
This one controlled by UE. In fact, UE had Ateneo on the ropes in the 4th quarter, but Chris Chu nailed a 3-pointer with a couple of seconds left to send the game into overtime. Ateneo took control in overtime, and Aluseni once again 19 points and 11 rebounds. So this really shows that Ateneo's offense will center around Raba Aluseni and let UE, and they will see how UE will defend Aluseni, and then Coach Norman Black will make the proper adjustments upon seeing how UE will defend Aluseni. So I'm saying the focal point of this game, the major impact player in this game would be Raba Aluseni.
And I remember that game, I covered it, Mark. That was a game that Ateneo won despite the fact that they shot 28% from the field. They forced overtime.
Absolutely.
And they pulled it off in OT. Well, we don't expect these two teams to run and gun. Probably like the LaSalle FEU matchup, because these are the two best defensive teams of the league.
Exactly, and the top four teams actually are the top four in defense in the Final Four. So if this is an indication, it's really defense that wins in the UAP. And we know Ateneo's number one in defense, but we also know that UE is number two here on defense. They play defense differently. Ateneo is a more conservative team defensively. They let you take more outside shots and they clog the middle. UE, on the other hand, loves to force a lot of turnovers, but the result here is different. Different philosophies, same result here. Ateneo, 62.3 points per game. UE, second at 64. And then field goal shooting allowed. This is very impressive.
Yes.
33 for Ateneo and only 37.5 for UE. So there is a reason. This is the reason why these two teams are in the Final Four and 1 or 2 games away from the finals.
They are the two top defensive teams, but they're doing it differently. You mentioned the fact that itong UE, loves to press.
Pressure type defense.
Exactly.
Ateneo, on the other hand, plays
Great
more
half-court.
like a professional team. They don't take many gambles. Very conservative type of defense, but they make sure they clog the middle with Aluseni and Nome Baclao
as the anchors of that defensive setup. All right, how important are the guards of UE, Mark, in this ball game? Knowing that you mentioned the fact that the front line, obviously the advantage goes to Ateneo.
Extremely important, especially in scoring. We know that the UE front line will be spent in defending against Aluseni and Baclao. So it is imperative that the UE guards step today, and specifically these two guys, the veterans, Mars Arellano, playing in his 5th year in this league, James Martinez in his 4th year in this league. If UE is going to win today, it will have to be the production of both Marzi and James. Look at this. Look at the numbers right now. 11 points for Marzi and wins, only 8 in losses. And for Martinez, 12 and only 6. So if these two guys get hot from the outside, and the good thing here going for Coach Dino Pumanan is these two guys are already veterans of this league.
Yes.
Finals experience, Final Four experience, so they will lean a lot on James and Marzi in today's game.
That is an excellent point right there. And we go make one last point for Raba Al-Husseini. I've mentioned this in the last series of games for Ateneo, how he has improved and how he has totally jacked up his numbers this season compared to his first three seasons. He's also number 2 in scoring, number 3 in rebounding, obviously making a run for that MVP title together with Jeremy Cruz and JV Casio. Against UE, he loves to play 18.5 points a game, 14.5 rebounds. This guy is obviously a serious contender for MVP.
Well, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this happen before. In one season, this guy tripled his scoring average from 5.9 to 18, and then almost doubling his rebounding stats here from 5.2 to 9.6. Boom, heading into the season, I thought that Jeremy Cruz would be a lock for MVP in season 71, but with the way this guy has played, he is a legit contender, and I wouldn't be surprised if Raba Al-Husseini would be season 71 MVP.
But this is a different stage. This is a different setting. Will he respond? That is the question. Because he's not yet tested in this kind of a setting, Mark.
And that's why we've emphasized Al-Husseini too much. But in this stage, of course, when push comes to shove, Ateneo will rely on Chris Chu. Chris Chu needs to set the tone here and lead here. And let Al-Husseini, Nonoy Baclao, Jai Reyes, and the Buena Fe follow. But Chris Chu's leadership will be the key here.
That is a great point, Mark Molina. Well, LaSalle earlier already did its thing, did its job. They won. They beat FEU. They had the twice-to-beat advantage. They didn't like the complications, so they won today, and they will march to the finals on Sunday. That's when it will begin here at the Araneta Coliseum. Will it be the same celebration for Coach Norman Black? We will find out. Stay tuned to Studio 23 for the live and exclusive coverage of Season 71 Final Four action in the UAAP.
Point guard number 5, Jai Reyes. And a shooting guard number 17, Chris Chu. the head coach of the Blue Eagles, Norman Black. And now, starting with a quintet, trying to extend this to a rubber match this Thursday. Here's the UE Red Warriors. At point guard number 10, Rudy Linganay. Off guard number 14, Rafi Reyes. And center number 11, Hans Biele. Power forward number 9, Elmer Espiritu. And the shooting forward number 18, Marcy Arellano. The head coach of the Red Warriors,
Introduction of the
Lindo
starting
Pumare.
lineup for UE and Ateneo. Last year, UE, of course, as we look at our clear men starting 5, undefeated, season 70. They went straight to the finals. Meantime, today, this year, they are on a 3-game winning streak, Mark. And that is actually the longest winning streak they've had this season. And they're going up against a team that is armed with an 8-game winning streak and the #1 team in the league.
And you can say, Boom, that UE is maybe peaking at the right time.
That's what people are saying.
They beat FU in their final game. A dominating performance by UE. And now 3-game winning streak heading into the Final Four. One thing, though, going against UE, if you look at history, UE, you mentioned the 7 straight Final Four appearances. All those 7 Final Four appearances, no wins in the Final Four. As far as the series is concerned,
Yes.
I think they've only won 1 game in the Final Four in those 7 appearances. Last year, they did go through the Final Four
Yes.
because they swept. But this is a more experienced UE team that we are seeing right now.
And Sele, opening scoring festivities here at the Araneta Coliseum. Here we go. Number 1 versus number 4, the second matchup of our Final Four Sunday here at the Big Dome. And what about, I mean, hats off to these two teams, Mark, who had no business anymore actually winning their last games against Lasal for Ateneo and UE against FU, but they did, and they did in convincing fashion.
Well, that's the way it should be here
Yes,
in the
exactly.
UAP. You cannot give any game to any opponent here. It doesn't matter if it doesn't count. As far as your position in the standings is concerned, and you're right. Give a lot of credit for these two teams for playing hard in the final game of the season.
And I like this 1 and 4 matchup because this is a contrast of styles, Mark.
You know, a lot of people are saying, and I agree to a certain extent, that if you are Ateneo, UE is maybe the last team you want to play in the Final Four based on matchups.
Okay.
FU is very athletic but not experienced yet, and we saw that today.
Yes.
Lasal, on the other hand, has the experience but is not as deep as UE.
Yes.
UE, on the other hand, has the experience, has the depth,
Yes.
and has the athleticism to give this Ateneo team a lot of trouble.
And they did in the 2 meetings that they saw each other. As Jai Reyes, who has really sharpened that arsenal of his, that medium range jumper of his, starts off scoring for Ateneo. Let's go to Alexis Go, our 3rd member of our broadcast team from UE.
Boom, this team has been working hard all week for this crucial game. Team captain Marcy Arellano also quoted that it wasn't impossible for us to create a 14-0 record last season, and it is definitely possible for this team to have a 4-0 record from this game on. In the dugout, Coach Lindo Pumare motivated his boys by saying how confident he is and how much he believes in the Warriors. He reminded the boys to be patient, make extra passes, and to make good shot selections.
Thank you very much, Alexis Go, forcing the turnover. Alexis, by the way, reporting for a Samsung courtside update. UE forcing the turnover, but also turning the ball over themselves in that sequence. We are tied at 2-2, under 8 minutes to play. Ateneo hoping to win today to meet arch rivals in the finals, the defending champions, already getting the job done earlier against FU, and an early foul by Rafi Reyes in the backcourt that gives us the opportunity to go to Portia Silva from Ateneo.
Coming from a 1-week break after trouncing the De La Salle Green Archers, Team Ateneo had more than enough time to shape up for the semifinals. Coach Norman Black constantly reminds his boys to keep on playing not just for the team, but more importantly to play as a team. A strong and tight defense calls for everyone's involvement. UE is known for their accurate 3-point shots, so we have to seize the ball as much as possible, he said. With these warrior on the court as they show no mercy today. Boom and more.
Thank you very much, Portia, for the Samsung courtside update. Like we said, both teams, number 1 and number 2 on defense, so you're seeing it now. And again, that last game, 28% shooting from the field. I think they are still pulling off that win.
They didn't make a three-pointer until the last 4 minutes of the game.
Exactly, they were struggling.
When you made three in the last 4 minutes. I think Ateneo was down by 8 or 9 points heading into the last 5 minutes of that game.
Not how many you make, but when you make them, that's what they say. Yele giving it up to Liganay. Liganay fading away. Comes up short. Reyes tracks this one down. Reyes drives, nowhere to go. Sets up Chris Chu. Chris Chu resets. They have 16 on the 24 as we approach the 7-minute mark of this first quarter. Good show by Yele. They go back to Raba. First touch. Raba Aluseni. Drives. Buckles the double team. Nothing there. Espiritu with a carry.
Excellent defense that time by UE. Once Aluseni makes a move to the basket, you will see a quick help here on the part of UE with Espiritu.
Martinez, who has been very sharp against Ateneo, shooting 38.5% from the field when he's up against Ateneo. It is actually Marcy Arellano who struggles against Ateneo, and we'll talk about that later. In the meantime, end-to-end action as a foul is committed by Anciela.
And I think part of the reason why Marcy struggles against Ateneo because he expends so much energy defending against Chris Chu. So when you get to the offensive side of things, it's so different because Chris Chu is a guy who runs all over the floor on offense.
James Martinez averaging 38.5% against Ateneo. As we look at that smart instant replay, also averaging around 9 points against this team. Jai on a pick and pop. A little bit long, and Arellano hauls down the rebound. 6 minutes, 10 seconds in the first. Or second encounter here in the big goal. Martinez again launches one, gets it to go. As we mentioned,
that is one thing Ateneo cannot afford to do in this game. Leave James Martinez wide open for the three-point shot.
Chris Chu twirling off the glass, a little strong. And it will stay with the white shirts who are behind by 5. Only 2 points for Ateneo, courtesy of Jai Reyes as we look at an Accenture high-performance shot. High performance delivered. James Martinez averaging a shade under 32% in the season from beyond area code. We will be back after this Samsung timeout with Samsung Imagination Lives. Back here at the Araneta Coliseum, and the obvious Samsung matchup will be between Chris Chu and Marcy Arellano.
Well, Chris has the edge here in scoring, and both of these guys playing in their final seasons in the UAP, and both of them have never won a championship in the UAP.
And that's the reason why Chris Chu came back for 1 year. He was telling me in a radio interview early prior to the season starting. That is the biggest motivation for him coming back, really. His unfinished business. He had a chance in 2006. They lost to UST. Then last year, we all know what happened in the 5 matchups against LaSalle. This year, they're hoping to change that. Ateneo's 1 out of 6 from the field as we get into our Gatorade halfway point of the first quarter. Rehydrate, replenish, and refuel with Gatorade. This time, our Powerade Power Rebound. Sports is what you make it.
So far, UE has done a great job here in denying low post position to Raba Aluseni. No good looks so far in this ball game for Raba.
And this is the reason why they send in Eric Salamat, who is, of course, the most productive bench player that Ateneo has. You want to talk about sparks off the bench. I don't think you could, there's no better example than Rico Meyerhofer and Eric Salamat off the bench. Paul Lee sets up Elmer Espiritu for the 3, that's short. Paul Lee missed the first assignment against Ateneo and played in the second game but didn't really do too well either.
And I think Paul Lee could be the X factor here if UE will win this ball game. Lee can pose as a matchup problem here against the small forwards of Ateneo because he was good as an athleticism.
Only Jai has been able to score for the Ateneo Blue Eagles. So far, the 3 coming from Dynamite Reyes. 7-5 is our score. 4 minutes and loose change.
Both Jai and James Martinez with 5 points early on in this ballgame.
Tiele attempts from a long range. That's a 2. Steps on the line. Hans Tiele getting more confident with that long shot. 9-5 is our score. 3:45 remaining in the first quarter. Ateneo with a twice to beat advantage. UE hoping to force a playoff. Winner take all on Thursday. Nonoy Baclao waiting to use the roadblock. Nice takeaway by James Martinez, who goes cherry picking on the other side, and Nonoy will obviously be called for the goaltending.
The ball hitting the backboard first before Nonoy Baclao tapped it.
Head and shoulders crucial stop. His mind definitely on the game, not Dandruff. With head and shoulders stop Dandruff from coming back. What a show there by Elmer Espiritu.
That was made possible because of the long arms of Elmer Espiritu. And this is something Ateneo needs to avoid in this game. Those kinds of turnovers which lead to quick turnover points here for UE.
.320, they give the ball back. Paul Zamar, who had a tremendous game against Ateneo the last time out, is in the ball game. Ryan Buenafe for Ateneo. Also Barry Llagas against Raba. Barry with that familiar curl. Rattles out. Salamat hauling down the rebound against his former teammate, Paul Lee. They love playing against each other. Eric and Paul, almost a careless pass once again. 3 minutes to play and a foul is called. Paul Zamar, talking about him. 13 points, 3 out of 5 from the three-point area in that last game against Ateneo. UE is over the limit. And Ateneo will shoot free throws after this timeout with Samsung Imagination Lives. We are back with you here at the Araneta Coliseum, giving you a Tokyo Rookie Watch. Tokyo may bago rito. Paul Zamar. This guy's going to be really good for UE in the next couple of years. He's already good this year.
We're probably seeing the 2 of the top rookies here in Buenafe and Paul Zamar.
Yes.
And of course, also in the cellar here, Rich Alvarez.
So joining us here at the Araneta Coliseum. We are happy to have you with us on a Sunday showdown. Final 4 festivities here. Captured live on Studio 23. 11-7, very bad shooting by Ateneo in the first quarter. 2 out of 10 so far. All those 2 field goals, courtesy of Jai Reyes. Paul Lee almost turned it over. 4 on the 24. Tiele puts up a long one. No, he gives it to Patty. He was trapped underneath. They forced the 3rd turnover on UE. Both teams now with 3 turnovers in this game. So again, both teams really playing tough, stingy defense. It's not the same game that you expect from that first matchup between FU and LaSalle. In the first quarter was really explosive. I mean, in terms of the action, it was really fast.
Both teams making most of their shots in that first quarter, although it slowed down in the fourth quarter.
Paul Lee giving it. Puliagas 3-on-1 on the other end, and a traveling infraction. 4th turnover now for UE, wasting that advantage on the other end.
But you have to be happy here if you're UE. You're forcing Ateneo to a lot of turnovers, and then you're attacking on transition.
Which is their game. Has always been their game since Coach Nino Pumaret has taken over. Jai tries again, and he gets it to go.
What if this guy is doing here for Ateneo? 8 points in the first quarter for Jai Reyes. Ateneo would have been blown out already here. Maybe double-digit advantage for you if not for Jai Reyes.
3 out of 3. And his accuracy really went up this year, more than any other year that he's played.
Although he had a slow start.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But second round onwards, he has played well.
At form that we've seen since the juniors. An Accenture high-performance three-point shot, high-performance delivered. Dynamite is what they called him. Back in the juniors. And again, if not for him, Ateneo would be down big margin. Paul Lee spins back, sets up Llagas. Gets the ball back, and Raba picks up some scraps here. Minute 30, Jai tops out. Gets it back, double team on him. He escapes, puts it up, he sends it out, and Eric Salamat puts in the three.
Nice play here also from Jai Reyes, making it happen. Not just scoring the points, but dishing off here to Eric Salamat, and just like that, Ateneo up by 3 points.
First lead of the ball game for the Blue Eagles, the #1 team in the league. Martinez, the early hot hand for UE, tries from long range. That's off to the left, and Buenafe comes away with a repossession. 8-0 run in the last 2 minutes for the Ateneo Blue Eagles.
If you're Coach Norman Black, you're very pleased right now because Ateneo is making this 8-0 run without his shoe on the floor.
And without Raba making any points.
Exactly.
Go down to him, quick release! Raba Al-Husseini deposits a glitter off the back.
And that's where he will get most of his points in this game. He needs to catch the ball off some movement because if he is stagnant, the UE defense will be quick to bounce against Raba.
Doble looking for Martinez. Jai all over him. Up in his jersey. Llagas making the move. Paul Lee and a sky ball is short. Salamat picks it up. Buenafe is on the other side. Salamat doesn't give it up. He puts it in.
What a spark off the bench. Eric Salamat, 5 quick points here to end the first quarter.
And a 10-0 run to bring some life into this Ateneo team that had no life at all when they started this game.
Absolutely no offense. More turnovers than the points here for Ateneo in the early going. But Eric Salamat, once again, providing the spark here in the first quarter.
On cue, just as we mentioned it, as we look at that Nike Hyper play of the quarter, this time, an Accenture high performance of the quarter, high performance delivered. On cue was Eric Salamat off the bench, providing some spark, some life. And the crowd from the Ateneo side appreciating this 6-point lead. Back with you here at the Araneta Coliseum. And the second quarter starts with Ryan Buenafe off the glass and Eric Salamat forcing a turnover, making the transition basket and giving them the biggest lead of the ball game at 21-11. Jai Reyes providing the numbers, the scoring. Eric Salamat providing the energy and the effort off the bench as we look at this Petron fast break, Petron extra unleaded, extra mile play. We have another timeout. This one brought to us, as usual, by Samsung. Imagination lives. Back here at the Araneta Coliseum, and Eric Salamat leading another fast break, but this time Hans Jeller defending that run. Mark, in a blur, this is a 16-0 run going back to the last 3 minutes of the first quarter. And that is the reason why they're up 10 right now as we look at the gate attendance so far in this Final Four as of 4 p.m., 21,641.
Well, we'll expect more even in the finals in the next couple of weeks here in the UAP. We'll probably be breaking records here.
We have been. Remember last weekend at the LaSalle game, the cheer dance competition. And this one again, 8:37 to play, and finally breaking that scoring drought is Elmer Espiritu from the free throw line. Break the 16-0 run. 7 fast break points for Ateneo, the #1 fast breaking team in the league. 4 for UE, and the 8 assists early on in this game.
Well, finally, UE tried to get something inside the paint, which I think they should do